there's a pathway to awakening that is extremely powerful, but very often goes unnoticed. What do I mean by that? Well, what I'm referring to and what I'm pointing to is the fact that we all have experiences of our true nature. It's just that very often we don't recognize them to be that. We think that we haven't had a true glimpse of our true nature. Or if we did have one, we assume that it was some kind of special event. Something that happens very rarely and can't really be reproduced reliably. But that's really not the case. We all have had the experience of recognizing our true nature. Recognizing the pure awareness which we essentially are. We all know what it's like to experience that wholeness, that dropping away of the center of experience, that awakeness and unboundedness, which is nevertheless not dissociated, which is fully intimate with every part of your experience. And when we understand that we all have had these experiences, that inspires a tremendous amount of confidence, and our doubt begins to fall away. And that is tremendously important, because everybody tends to struggle with that experience of doubt. Have I recognized my true nature? Is it really like that? Was it just a fantasy? Or was it a true, authentic recognition of what I am essentially? Of that awareness which includes everything, but is not separate from anything. And so you might try to recall now those moments where there was that spontaneous seeing from emptiness, that dropping of the center and just a seeing from clarity, a interconnectedness with all experience. For a lot of people, they have that glimpse and that spontaneous seeing from their true nature when they are in nature, when they are walking through a forest, for example, or when they are standing on a mountain and they have this beautiful, vast vista in front of them. Another example of this is that rare night you have maybe a couple of times a year where you wake up before your alarm goes off and you have that spontaneous clarity, that lack of a center to experience. There are sounds coming and going. You are seeing the world, but you are not opposed to it. You are not this separate observer which is taking it in. You are that awakeness which embraces everything. That awakeness out of which everything is made. And it feels in those moments quite ordinary. It's not like something totally new has entered your experience. It's just that this habitual way of looking from the perspective of a separate self, has dropped away. And you are spontaneously abiding, resting in, and aware as your true nature. And of course, you might notice that you can't exactly remember your true nature in of itself. Because true nature is without objective qualities. It is space-like and ungraspable. But what you can remember are those side effects, the positive qualities that flower out of this resting and living from our true nature. It flowers into that peace and wholeness, that quiet joy, that beauty in everything, that pleasure and happiness. And in those memories I just talked about, those qualities are present. You can simply tap into that, bring those qualities to the foreground again, and from there it's just a very effortless and short path to drop that final sense of separation, to drop the fixation, and to come to the clear recognition of your true nature. So we could say that these memories provide the ideal circumstances for the recognition of your essential nature. And it's effortlessly easy and even pleasurable to tap into those memories. You may try it right now. Just use a simple inquiry, like, what does it feel like to walk through a forest? And you can bring up that image of being in the forest, feel that visceral sense of it, in the body, the sounds you are hearing, that peace, that relaxation, that openness, that calm, that panoramic feel, that flowing quality. Simply allow that to arise right now. See how it just comes about naturally. You don't need to force it. As soon as you recall that memory, the sense of that freedom, it just arises. And once you've gotten in touch with that wholeness and peace, you may realize that right now you are aware as your true nature. You are not aware as a separate self. You are aware as pure awakeness. You as this awakeness are experiencing that wholeness right now, are allowing experience to flow through you without interfering with it, but also without being separate from it. You are spontaneously resting in and enjoying that centerless freedom of what you are. And you notice that it's quite normal, ordinary, and very deeply enjoyable. It's not enjoyment in the sense of just appreciating these positive qualities which are flowering out of your true nature, but it's the enjoyment and the freedom of simply being yourself. Being that unlimited freedom. And once you're there, any instruction, any attempt to stabilize or recognize is really too much. Everything has dropped. All that remains is this experience. Awakeness appearing as this. And recognize how accessible this pathway is. All it took was that memory of that freedom, that natural state of relaxation and peace, and from there it was effortlessly easy to drop that final fixation and simply rest in your true nature and be aware from your true nature. So it seems like an essential shift in your identity has occurred, but really all that has happened is that that fixation of the separate self has simply dropped. And this pathway through your memories to your true nature is always accessible. You don't need special circumstances to tap into that near state of awakening and then to drop into awakening. Right now I'm sitting outside and the weather is quite nice, but it doesn't matter whether that is the case or I'm sitting in a small room and it's raining outside, because that way of looking, that near state of awakening, that peace and wholeness and relaxation can always be tapped into. I can have that same panoramic way of looking, that relaxation and that beauty, if I'm just looking at a blank wall. The potential to shift into that way of looking is always there. And from there was always the possibility of looking back, dropping, or relaxing back and sinking back, and recognizing your true nature. It's that simple move of awareness seemingly letting go of the fixation, opening up, dropping into itself, and then just effortlessly being, and resting in your true nature, and recognizing that everything is simply the expression of what you are. And as always, when you go about this kind of pathway, be very light with it, very joyful, experimental, curious. It's not a hard, difficult path. This is quite enjoyable to do. And relaxation, trust, and faith are so much more important here than a kind of laser focus or iron discipline. That awakening, that recognition of your true nature of centerless awareness simply comes about through this near state of peace and relaxation, and then that dropping of that final fixation. And none of that requires effort. It's all a letting go, all a dropping away. So simply use this very accessible pathway. And once you have recognized your true nature, just enjoy it.